I'd start out the video with an epic V8 sound, and I'm gonna leave a little bit of V8 noise in this part of the recording as well. Welcome back to Technically F1, welcome back to gameplay commentary, and welcome back to another video. Today, we shall be talking about whether older F1 cars, are faster than newer ones. And the answer to that question is yes, so thank you for watching, goodbye. Now, but on a serious note, thanks for all those who have come back, and if this is your first time at the Technically F1 YouTube channel, well, subscribe, you're gonna get some awesome content, like this video, and if you feel that you'd like to, like the video. Thank you, let's get into it. Now, F1 cars. First of all, the lap records right now are completely invalidated, in my opinion, compared to the ones from 1998 all the way up to 2008. And the reason for this is because all those cars were not on grooved, or they're on grooved tires, not even slick tires, which is a problem. And that was not just in the wet weather, but it was also in the dry weather. So, you know, and for those who don't know, you need slick tires in a sport like Formula 1 in the dry because it gives you a lot more grip, more tire surface. So that's a huge disadvantage, but also, the Pirelli slick tires at the moment are some of the grippier ones that the sport have seen, and although they don't last very well, their actual grip levels are admirable, so you have to chuck those on cars like, you know, the Red Bull RB6 and some other cars that chucked out massive amounts of downforce. Once you've done that, you're going to starting to see sort of a different set of lap times. Yeah, a different set of lap times that are at the top of the timing sheets, you could say. So anyways, that is the first thing to mention, right? So with that knowledge in mind, right, you can just pretty much easily say, okay, what are going to be the fastest cars? And firstly, the Ferrari F2004, using this formula, would be the fastest because the Pirelli slick tires are about 20% grippier than the old Bridgestone groove tires, and that fact has been mentioned by a couple of YouTubers, and it's explained best in Aidan Millward's video, explaining the differences between grooved and slicked tires. Now, timing-wise, I've done the formula. The Ferrari F2004 would be the fastest. The second fastest would be something like a Red Bull RB6. And when you compare the time deficit changing for those sorts of cars, you'd still probably get a 10% decrease in overall time it took to get a lap done, which is 10 to 12-ish. So the RB6 would be the second fastest, and then the third fastest, I'm just doing a top 3 here, would be something like a Ferrari F2007 or McLaren MP4-23. Now, by this point, you're thinking, Jack, you big daft idiot, why on earth then has somebody not just snapped these magic Pirelli slick tires onto a car like a Ferrari F2004? Knowing that Ferrari has more than enough F2004s to spare, you know, and I guess maybe some people don't know that, but Ferrari, they make a lot of Formula 1 cars, and they make a lot of extras, so they have quite a few F2004s to spare, although I think Michael Schumacher might have bought a few off of them. That'll be a good thing to fact check in the edit. Editor Jack here, he does own a few. Anyways, back to fastest of all time. There are actually some more limitations. The cars aren't meant for the Pirelli slick tires. They have a different diameter than the groove tires, so that's a starting out problem. But luckily, cars like the Red Bull RB6 aren't too far off in terms of tire requirements because they run slick tires. It's not as much of a problem for them. And I did the top 5, and something quite crazy for it is the Mercedes, the current car that a lot of people think is the fastest of all time, the Mercedes W11, the car that's winning everything this year. That car is not even in the top 10 of the fastest F1 cars tire corrected. Let that sink in. And once you've let that sink in, you're thinking, wait a minute, tire corrected, there are more things that can be done? More things that can be corrected in general? On the whole, yes, there are cars like the Red Bull RB6 which have a stupid amount of downforce that would be a lot faster around certain tracks, and the Ferrari F2004 which have a lot of power and don't weigh as much as other cars, which would also be very fast around certain types of tracks. Think Monza, that sort of thing. I mean, I've driven a Ferrari F2004 around Monza in simulated racing games, and it's pretty crazy. But imagine if you multiplied the grip by, almost not multiplied, but 25% extra grip, just roughly 20% extra grip, 25% extra grip. That's a lot of grip. And in a previous video, I have some footage of me driving an RB6, and if you add more grip to that thing, you're literally creating a car that's driving on rails. Another real problem with current F1 fans and a lot of designers in modern Formula 1, aside from Adrian Newey, is that they don't acknowledge that older Formula 1 cars did have a lot more downforce than the new ones do. Especially the late 2008 F1 cars and some of the last races, they had unbelievable amount of downforce. And it's also, according to Adrian Newey, I've read his book now a couple of times, and I'm not quoting here, but roughly he says that the Red Bull RB6 car that he designed at Red Bull won the championship that year. That car has more downforce than any other in history, and that's that. It has more than the ground effect Lotuses, which are thought to have more downforce than any other Formula 1 car in history. It is the most downforce bar none, and here you can see the car actually driving around. It has an exhaust blown diffuser, it has an F-duct, and these are just technical innovations. It has a double diffuser, it's unbelievable. It's some of the tech that propelled older F1 cars of the 80s to preposterous speeds, and Adrian is one who does not throw away old tricks without trying them for one last time. That's what he did with the RB6. He tossed some of the old bits that almost always work into that car, and it turned out to be almost perfect. It's quite good that way. Another thing, though, when looking at parts of an F1 car that make it faster or slower is weight. Now, older F1 cars, you've got your RB6 from 2010, you've got your F2004 from 2004. These two cars who I've mentioned a lot in this video, but we could even say the McLaren MP4-23 are top three. Those cars they weigh a lot less than current F1 cars, mainly because of the current F1 cars' very heavy turbo and hybrid system. And overall, it's not that much of a lap time boost to have that much power. So weight, it's actually an advantage for the older Formula 1 car. Now, for the final segment, power. Modern Formula 1 cars do have more power, but as I explained previously, it comes at the huge expense of weight, which is, when you're designing a Formula 1 car, a designer respected like Adrian Newey, he says that weight is a bit more of a problem than other people really give it credit for. So it's quite important, and the power deficit from a car that weighs a lot more but has more power, and the car that weighs less but has a little bit less power, is just enough that it's not that crazy. Fine, I hear you say, but you want actual power numbers. No problem. The cars that weighed less but had more power, I'll give you just an example right now. Ferrari of 2004, that car had about 900 horsepower and weighed about, in the range of 600 kilograms. Not much at all. Current Formula 1 car weighs 750 kilograms, has 1,100 horsepower. Now, you're thinking to yourself, now wait a minute, but wouldn't that be better, having more power? Now, that is not always true. Some of the fastest top speed records ever were set on cars that weighed less, or at least for Formula 1. Cars that weighed less, but had a little bit less power. Until recently, where F1 cars started reaching 1,000 horsepower, they had real trouble reaching 345 kilometers an hour at, very high-speed tracks. So I think that says something about the whole power, or the urge for power. You don't need it. It's not a necessary thing. But if you wanted to design the best Formula 1 car of all time, sure, you could give it 2,700 horsepower if you wanted. That's what I did when I designed my fastest F1 car of all time. that is pretty much going to be the video today. I've given you pretty much all the facts I can and all the facts you need to make the conclusion that older F1 cars with tires corrected can be faster. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy today's video and you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you liked it, please like it. And if you didn't like it, explain why in the comments. I and Rashab and I, we can try to change that if it's significant enough. If it's, oh, I don't like your copyright-free music. Well, guess what? It's copyright-free. And that way, I don't get copy striked. Thank you. Goodbye.